Konnichiwa! The original Game Boy has literally just turned 30 years old here in Europe. And to celebrate, we're going to be unboxing this. The PAL original first release of the Game Boy. My name's Mike, and this is the Retro Gamer Boy Show. Welcome back, and if you're new to the channel, love your retro gaming and enjoy this episode, then why not consider subscribing by clicking on a little button down below. And remember, every Wednesday we are live playing on this old thing with Live at the Arcade. We're on at 9 PM UK time, 1 PM Pacific time, and 4 PM Eastern time. Now, the Game Boy is one of the most successful gaming consoles in gaming history. It's the third most sold console of all time, with 118 million copies sold. It's also spawned a ton of portable gaming devices from Nintendo. Everything from the Pocket Game Boy, to the Color Game Boy, to the Game Boy Advance, to the DS, to the 3DS, to the 2DS, to the Nintendo Switch. The Game Boy franchise has spawned a ton of successful portable consoles. But it was actually Nintendo's second portable console. The first, of course, being Nintendo's insanely popular Game & Watch that came out in the early to late 80s. So this is the original Game Boy. This is a first edition Game Boy that was released in Europe. And there are a number of differences, mainly in the packaging compared to its US counterpart. The big one is the side panel down here. Now, I think the US version has like a pouch advert over here, whereas in Europe we had the power pack and the advert here for Mario Land. And this kind of branding for a game box was well ahead of its time. The graphical design in it was just fantastic. Layout of features down here, really nice picture of the console with the games, and pretty much everything that you get inside the box on the back here. And down the side here we got some of the games, and all three of these games are selling the Game Link peripheral, which, to be honest, I don't think was used much, but it was a cool idea. And this front cover here is just so iconic. It's way more edgier than some of the game console boxes we get today, which tend to be more minimalistic, more graphically designed, usually a single color with the logo on the front. Here we can see this kind of Tron-esque treatment for the Game Boy.
Do it.
We're going to open up the Game Boy. There's only one thing missing from this Game Boy, and that's a polystyrene cover that went over the top. But it is probably the most complete version of a Nintendo Game Boy, an original Nintendo Game Boy, that I've seen unboxed. It has all the paper paraphernalia, which tends to be missing from these consoles. So here we go. This is the original Game Boy. Now, the batteries in here are not original. These are batteries that I just have in here when I'm going to play the actual console itself. We have the first bit of paraphernalia, little poster that came with the original Game Boy. And this is something I don't often see. I don't think, in fact, I've seen it at all on people's unboxing videos. And these bits of paper tend to get thrown away when people had the console. And then we have another one here for the Game Boy. And I love these little bits of paraphernalia that came with the consoles. I kind of wish they'd still have these in some of the modern games that we get. It's rare that we even get a manual, but to get some of this paraphernalia, these little posters, was awesome. Next up, we have the link cable here. And again, this is something I never used as a kid. And that's because I don't think I knew anyone that had a Game Boy. I wasn't really taking the Game Boy out far enough to play with this. But a cool little device to have this with the console. Here are the original earphones in this lovely 80s and 90s plastic. We of course then had the holder for the batteries, and then we have Tetris, which I think changed the game for the Game Boy. Now Tetris played a huge part in the Game Boy's success. At the time, the Nintendo Game Boy faced huge competition from technically superior handhelds from Sega's Game Gear, Atari's Lynx, and the Turbo Express. But despite the technical superiority of those consoles, the Game Boy easily crushed those consoles and went on to be synonymous with handheld gaming. Tetris is the biggest selling game franchise of all times. Nintendo's sweep to bring in this Russian-made game onto its handheld console was a stroke of genius, because Nintendo ended up selling 35 million copies of Tetris, some of those boxed in with the game and some of them separate, making it the most successful game on a handheld device ever made. And here is the console itself. Great little machine, absolutely fantastic. At the time, it was just so technologically advanced. Of course, the Atari Lynx came along and were a lot better technically, but the games that came on this console, Nintendo's first party, what they're always famous for, their first party games really helped sell this console. But an absolute genius design, so iconic. And then these bits of paper here are the things that are usually missing from original Game Boy unboxings. So we have the Tetris instruction manual. And you very rarely see this packed in with the original Game Boy. We have this free membership to the Nintendo Club. And I think I've got another one, yeah. So I've got two. I have two Nintendo membership cards there. We have the owner's manual. Just brilliant. Such a great little manual, this one. And here we can see the link cable being demonstrated. And all of this line art as well is just great. Great to see. Here's another bit of paper that is pretty much always missing when you see these Game Boys out in the wild, and it's just a quick guide to putting in your game and then how to adjust the contrast. And I think this might be another Nintendo Club. Yep, it's another Nintendo Club and another Nintendo Club. So I got 4 Nintendo Club membership cards in there. Here we have it, the Nintendo Game Boy, the first edition original release of the Nintendo Game Boy, fully unboxed. And I'm so happy to own such a complete set of such a classic and iconic games console. I love making shows like this. I love looking back on some of the old consoles in my collection. And to be able to look back at a console that's over 30 years old and unbox it with all its original paraphernalia and attachments with it is fantastic. You get a real belt of nostalgia. Now remember, if you've enjoyed this week's show, you can subscribe to the channel to see more retro gaming by clicking on my little pixel head below. And we make brand new shows every Monday, and you can get notified as soon as they're out by clicking on a little bell just below this video. And if you can't wait until Monday, then you can check out our huge back catalogue of retro gaming videos, 2 of which you can find over here.